Ms. Johnson. All right, Ms. Johnson, please just take your time and have a seat and relax. And once you get over there, Mr. Bingham will continue on.
Ms. Johnson, have you heard the term conflict waiver before?
Yes.
What is a conflict waiver as you understand it?
When an attorney has represented a client and then he's going to represent another client, and he lets them know that there could be a conflict of interest because he's represented that client before.
Has the district had an attorney submit a conflict waiver before to the district?
Yes.
What attorney is that?
You guys did, Bingham and Snow.
Okay. Do you recall if George Benish has ever had the water district sign a conflict waiver in any matter?
No, I do not.
Are you aware of any conflict waiver that George Benish ever disclosed to strike that? Are you aware of any conflict waiver that George Benish contacted the district about signing in connection with his representation of John Linetti?
No.
Will you please turn to Exhibit T in the binder in front of you? Ms. Johnson, are you aware that a lawsuit was filed at some point around 2008, 2009, maybe going into 2010 between the Virgin Valley Water District and Vidler Water Company?
Yes.
Are you aware if Vidler Water Company requested any documents from the Water District in connection with that lawsuit?
Yes, they did.
Was that request by Vidler Water Company, if you know, done pursuant to a public records request?
Yes, it was.
Do you know, was Sean Hood one of the attorneys that was representing Vidler Water Company in that case?
Yes, he was.
If you look at this exhibit I've just shown you, Exhibit T, will you turn please to the second page of that exhibit?
Okay.
There's a signature there. It says George Benish. Do you recognize that signature?
On page 2?
Yeah, and it's possible that our...
Well, it's okay. There's you're talking about page 2 of the Benish letter, which follows the first 4 pages of the exhibit.
And on the letter, yes, page 2, that is George's signature.
Okay. And you recognize that signature?
Yes.
You've seen it in connection with your work at the Water District?
Correct.
Many times?
Yes.
Okay. Do you recall George Benish's response to Vidler Water Company when they were seeking records of the Water District?
I just know that it took a long time before his records were ever given to us.
Okay, so are you saying George Benish took a long time to get the records to the Water District?
Yes.
Okay. Will you please read on that first page of that letter dated August 13th, 2009? I'm going to have you read the third paragraph. It starts with "on the subject of the 3 boxes." Would you read that, please?
Please be advised that the Water District has a very limited staff, and given its other duties and responsibilities.
I apologize. Maybe, are you looking at the August 13th, 2009 letter, the very first page?
No.
Well, that one's about 10 more pages in, at least.
I apologize. They must be in a different order in my binder. But Ms. Johnson, if you'll please go to the letter dated August 13th, 2009.
Okay.
You see that?
Yes.
And on the second page of that letter, is that where you identified the signature from George Benish?
That is his signature.
Okay. All right, so on that August 13th, 2009 letter, will you please read the third paragraph, which starts with "on the subject of the 3 boxes"?
On the subject of the 3 boxes, in the subject letter, you mischaracterize the contents as being Virgin Valley Water District documents. This office is not a public entity and does not have any public records. What we do have are copies of documents, work product documents, and privileged documents. Earlier, I committed to make copies of certain documents available as an accommodation, and you have consistently attempted to ignore the conditions by insisting on access to my files. Most recently, the 3 boxes from the proceedings on application numbers 64692, 64693, and 66932. I have examined the contents of these boxes, and one contains my notes and preparation materials for the administrative proceeding, which is obviously work product. One contains reports with my notes and other privileged information superimposed thereon, and the third contains some reports with my notes and privileged information together with the transcripts of proceedings. Inasmuch as the contents of the 3 boxes are not public documents and are privileged under NRS 49.095, with one exception of the transcript, I am withdrawing my accommodating offer to have them reproduced. If you want a copy of the 669 pages of transcript, the cost is $2 per page, and this amount will be transmitted to Capitol reporters pursuant to NRS 239.053.
Mary, will you please, or Ms. Johnson, will you please turn to the second page of that same letter? And on that second page, will you please read the second paragraph where it starts with "it is not insignificant"?
It is not insignificant that my client and Vidler are opposing parties in ongoing litigation with a pending discovery order. Finally, where there is ongoing litigation, NRS Chapter 239 has never been interpreted by any court to allow the fishing trip type nuisance inquiries you seem to want to pursue with this office.
Ms. Johnson, when those records arrived at the Water District, the records that were up at George Benish's office, did you, well, describe the records. How many records came?
Probably like 40 boxes.
Okay.
They were on skids. We had them in there.
Okay. And do you recall generally, I'm not asking you to remember every single document in there, obviously, but do you recall generally what was in those boxes?
I never actually looked through those boxes.
Okay. Okay. But you do understand that they were the records that came back from George Benish's office?
Correct.
Okay. Do you know if George Benish made copies of those records before he sent them down?
I do not know that.